Hello, MBA aspirants, and a very good evening to all of you. I hope you're all doing well and preparing well for the upcoming exams. Now that you are done with your CAT exam, what is that? Another exam that we are all aiming. We all know that there are two big fishes in this pond of MBA entrance exams, and those are CAT and XAT. Trust me, I know you must be glossing over how did the CAT exam went, what would the score be, and then you might be feeling that you've reached the saturation of preparing for the CAT exam, you know, rigorously working towards it, doing so much of hard work, studying day and night. But trust me, this is not the time to be lethargic with this XAT exam just at the door, and there are hardly 18 or 20 days left for the exam. This is not the time that we should slow down. You cannot simply gloss over what the result of CAT exam would be. And trust me, where your IIMs can take you, XAT exam can do the same. I've seen a student who scored almost about 95 percentile, whose interview was also good when he went to the IIMs. But then again, he went for XAT exam and got selected there and had a very good placement also. So you can also have the same option. You should at least keep your options open. And now that you have this exam, you should focus on it. So today we will be discussing what all XAT exam has for us, what is the pattern of the paper, and what are those different skills that you require for this exam. So stay motivated in this time window of 20 days and work rigorously towards, acing this particular exam. So without any further ado, let's begin with the slide. I'm Sheetal, a verbal teacher here at Hitbullseye, and today I will be discussing not only XAT pattern with you, I'll be showing you some previous year questions that appeared in XAT 2022. We'll also see what decision making is. Now, decision making is one such section of this exam which you hardly see in any other exam, and they have some really interesting cases that are presented to you in this particular section of this exam. Right? So let's start with the video. If you have any doubt in between, feel free to write it in the chat box. Now, first of all, if you see the paper pattern, if you see what all sections do we have in XAT exam, well, the XAT exam, you can bifurcate it into two sections. Part 1, two parts you can divide it into. Your part 1 has all these sections, verbal, AR and decision making, quant and DI and GK. And in part 2, you have your essay, right? So basically, this exam is of 190 minutes with 100 questions from these sections, and you get extra 10 minutes for the essay writing section. Essay writing, I believe you'll still be able to manage if you just see some formats, some very famous, you can divide it into subtopics. What kind of essays can there be, right? And you can do that. What we need to focus today is basically the other section, the verbal section I'll be discussing with you, and decision making. Right, so if you see the section, the first one is verbal section, you'll have 26 questions from this. +1 marking for every right answer and 1/4, or let's say 0.25 negative marking for every wrong answer. And also there is no sectional limit for XAT exam as you used to have in your CAT exam. Then for AR and decision making, again you'll have 21 questions, the marking scheme remains same. Quant and DI, 28 questions, and from GK you have your 25 questions. Also, you need to keep this in mind. There is a marking of minus 0.10 for minus 0.10 marking, negative marking for every 8 unattempted questions. So you have to decide very wisely, first of all, where all can you save time in this exam. For example, in the section of GK, if you know the answer, you know the answer. If you don't know it, quickly skip the question, right? Or at least attempt the question. Second thing that you need to keep in mind is it wise to just simply skip the question, leave the question and move on to the next question just because we don't want to lose marks into negative marking? But then you have to be careful. After every 8 unattempted questions, your marks will be deducted, 0.10. So it's wise to go with all those choices which your gut feeling says that yes, you can do it. So wise guessing is something I think which would, not be a bad option for this exam. right? So let's now see what do we have in verbal. What kind of questions do we have in verbal section? See, first of all, you need to have faith in yourself. I know we all concentrate more on the CAT exam. You must have been preparing according to the CAT exam so far, but that exam, it just has 2 to 3 different topics. If you've attempted the CAT RCs of this verbal section, trust me, they won't be difficult for you. It's just that those 2 3 additional topics that you need to practice in this particular time, right? So, what are some of the question types in verbal ability and reading comprehension? First, you're going to get your RCs. Almost 3 RCs from prose section, 2 RCs from poem section. These prose RCs might be lengthier, but most probably they are not as lengthy or difficult as we used to have in CAT exam, as we usually have in CAT exam. And then poem based RCs. Now, this is a bit different because you don't get your poem RCs in other section in the CAT exam. So for the poem, the only thing that you need to keep in mind is, see, it's a poetry. You cannot take everything literally. It's a piece of literature. You need to understand the gist of the poem, what the author is trying to say. You need to understand the implied meaning and different interpretations it can have. And language of poetry is also not going to be that difficult. If you read it twice, you can understand it. Then you have this type of question. Mark the correct or incorrect sentences. A set of 5 to 6 sentences will be given to you. So these are basically based on grammar. So your grammar is covered here. So brush up with your grammar rules, the major ones, right? And this you can do only by looking at the previous year paper and the mock test. Then you can jot down the important topics that you need to touch upon in this particular time. So you might get a question of mark the correct choices or options, or mark the incorrect sentences. So incorrect in the sense of grammatical way. Is it grammatically correct or not? Right? And then again, a set of options will be given to you and you have to select one. One more thing that I need to tell you here is, here mostly you will get 5 options, not 4, like we get in CAT usually. So 5 options will be given to you and you have to select out of these 5 questions. And there are no theta questions in this, right? So theta question again pose their own difficulty. It used to consume a lot of time. Sentence rearrangement especially took a lot of time in CAT exam, and then still we were not sure if we've attempted the theta question correctly or not. Here again you have sentence rearrangement with option, which is a positive point. Then we have fill in the blanks type of question. Now, it can be based on 1 sentence or 2 sentences. And if it's a paragraph and more than 2 blanks are there in that paragraph, it's a closed test. So basically, closed test is you'll be given a paragraph. From the paragraph, there would be different words that would be removed from the paragraph. And you need to fit in those words from the options. So first thing that you need to understand here is understand the context of the paragraph, the story of the paragraph. These are not individual lines. It's a story that has been built up. Understand the stream of idea that is being carried forward throughout the paragraph, and you'll definitely be able to, mark the right choices. If you've guessed 1 or 2 blanks, let's say first or second, you can at least eliminate the choices that you think where the first or 2 blank cannot be, those options cannot be fit in the first or second blank. So this I think you'll easily be able to handle. And then lastly, you have your critical reasoning questions also. Again, a group of statements will be given to you in a form of a short paragraph, out of which your inference, argumentative type of questions will be asked to you, all demanding your critical understanding of the passage. So this again, you've been doing it partially in CAT exam also, because in CAT RCs, you don't get direct or factual questions. They are actually critical reasoning type of questions. So yes, see, it's not really that difficult. You need to focus just on practicing the grammar, brushing up your grammar, practicing some poem-based RCs and some fill-in-the-blanks question and closed test questions. Sentence rearrangement, you've already been doing. Now, seeing some examples of actual previous year paper. This is from XAT 2022. So you can see here an excerpt from a poem has been given, and the language is also not that difficult. So just like this, you'll be given a passage from a poem. It would hardly take you a minute or two to understand this and then move to the choices. Which of the following cannot be inferred from the poem? Not a direct simple question. It's based on inference. It demands your understanding. You need to deduce the meaning from the passage. You need to deduce that hidden inference, hidden conclusion from the passage. But choices are really easy if you go through it. So you can pause the video. Afterwards, you can read the passages. Which of the following sentences are grammatically correct? A set of 6 sentences has been given to you. You'll have to go through all the sentences, try to find out where the error is. Is it in the subject and the verb agreement? Is it in the tense? Where the error is, right? So these are sets of options that are given to you. If you've again, if you have already found out error in at least 1 or 2 options, you will easily be able to eliminate the option choices. Sentence, select the best option which completes the sentence in the most meaningful manner. So a paragraph kind of passage has been given to you. Again, 3 blanks are there. You have to understand the context, understand the story underlying this passage, and attempt the question. Then the choices are given to you. Right. So answer the question based on the information given in the passage. A prose type of RC will be given to you. Not a very lengthy one. See, this was the size of it. And then your option choices. Choose the most logical order. Guys, now we have our sentence rearrangement type of question or parajumble type of question. So there are 5 sentences. You'll have to go through them. You'll have to coherently put them in a particular order so that it makes a complete sense and a tightly knit passage can be formed from it. See again, 5 choices. If you've noticed, there are 5 choices in every question. Now let's discuss decision making. Let's briefly discuss decision making. So context in that is majority of time the question pose ethical dilemma faced in one's personal life, management, human resources, marketing, administration, etc. These are some of the areas you can get your decision making question from. A case will be given to you in the question, a particular situation will be presented to you. It's not going to be the simple one, and trust me, even we get confused in the options because these questions actually are very subjective in nature, right? But you just need to keep in mind what are those do's and don'ts, so that would really help you to come down to the right option choice. So you are expected to address and solve them. You can view these questions as a combination of critical reasoning and reading comprehension question. Obviously, because it's in a form of passage, it's comprehension also, and then because you have to critically analyze the situation to give the right answer, so critical reasoning is also involved in it. So these are some of the areas you can get your cases from. So there are some 7 sets of decision making passages. You'll get ethical dilemmas, right? For example, an example would be given to you, a case will be presented to you that some person, let's say Rakesh, his wife is in hospital. He had been a very honest man, a very ethical person he had been, but now she's on deathbed, and he is not from a very well-to-do background. He doesn't have enough money. Moreover, it's the mid of night. So the doctor has, her condition is critical. The doctor has asked the person to get a particular medicine without wasting much time. So he need to get the medicine as soon as possible. He goes out, he sees the chemist shop, but all these shops are already shut because it's mid of the night. So should he break the window and just get some important medicine? Or should he, just go out in each and every, for, to find the medicine in each and every shop, which is not, logical because it's already mid of night. There are very thin chances of finding any such medical open at this hour of time. What should he be doing? What do you think he should do? Which would be ethical, let's say, or logical? So this type of ethical dilemmas will be given to you. And trust me, these are not simple questions on which you need to cerebrate. You need to calm down, think about it. You cannot just go with the emotional angle. You have to see what the examiner expects from you. Corporate and managerial issues might be given to you, financial choices, and then your personal decision. So these are some of the areas. Approach should be, these kinds of questions require logical approach and a clear understanding of situation. Logical approach, not a very emotional one, right? It often requires going through text and then logically interpreting the information that has been given to you. Read the question stem, understand it, what is he trying to say. Most probably, certain adjectives will be used, certain very strong adjective. For example, it might be given a fanatic priest. If the author or the writer of the passage himself is calling the priest fanatic, it's a strong word. You can make out what is he trying to suggest you. So clues and cues will be given to you within the passage. You just need to pick them, right? Read the question stem, understand it. What's the core issue, the matter at hand? You need to understand that. Rule out the irrelevant options. You will be left with three options, three confusing options. So two C's, consequence and complexities. Obviously, most of these cases are complex, but you need to understand whatever answer you are giving, what would the consequences be of that solution. All right, so comprehend the situation, understand the ethical, financial, or managerial implication on various parties, stakeholders involved. Now, stakeholders involved is very important. You're going to be a manager someday of some company. You're going to be an HR. You need to understand this. Your answer, it cannot just be limited to you. You need to see the picture at a broader level. So do understand the case with that perspective, not your personal or subjective perspective, and then give your answers. Understand the situation and solving it with a balance of practical, logical, and ethical responsibility. Go with that one option which almost touches upon all these three, justifies all these three. Identify the course of action which is feasible and prudent without being biased. Again, you cannot get in your judgment in between. See, it's ironical. You have to be honest also, and then you cannot be subjective also. So you need to understand this. See, this is one very short example of one such case. Ramu has been working with Jingbank Corporation Limited for the last 6 years and has been rated as one of the most efficient in the job. One day, he is caught with a stolen bulb while leaving the duty. The management is in a predicament what to do. Now, the manager or the head in the corporation, they cannot take one such decision which might jeopardize the company's situation, their image among the employers. But then they cannot let him go without punishing him, because that again will set a very negative impact, a very negative impression. So out of the choices, you have to select one such choice which is not just ethical, it's logical also. So important is make all possible efforts to improve the situation before taking a drastic step. Do not go with the extreme options, extreme choices. You cannot take a drastic step. Along with attempt to resolve the issue, one needs to have other options open. Very crucial with case involving workplace tensions and or job change. In ethical situation, you still can think from your own perspective, but if it involves the workplace, you need to think for the betterment of company and its image also. It should not be jeopardized in any way. And plan B is a must. So there must be counter reasoning or argument towards what you are going to select, the option that you will select. But then your plan B should also be ready. Yeah, so that was it. So now I believe you've got some idea about how to do or how to prepare the XAT exam. In this time that you have left, trust me, what you have to do is practice previous year question as many as you can. See those cases that have been given in the previous year paper, try to do the mock test within the same time limit, strategize in which section you are very quick, because there is no sectional time limit, which is a very positive point for you. So while you are giving your mocks, you can strategize and channelize your strategy accordingly. Which section should I attempt first, and where can I save time, where can I invest that time? So these are some things I think which you should keep in mind in this point of time. Well, we'll be coming back with another live. Maybe we'll take some real examples of decision-making question in next live, and we'll see particularly in each and every case, what are the do's and what are the don'ts. So do not forget to like, share, and subscribe the channel if you found the video helpful. And if you want us to come up with any other topic, feel free to write it in the chat box. Thank you. Have a happy learning. Keep smiling and keep working hard.